Who's ready for fall? Hi friends, it's Lisa with Forever Bloom. Here I have a painting tutorial for the porch barn door insert, or interchangeable. It has these cute little candlestick lanterns and the pumpkin fall harvest sweaters sign. Here I am using painter's tape to color sort my items. So I'm just gonna put all the letters. The painter's tape helps hold down the pieces of wood, especially the tiny ones, while I paint it. So bear with me as I go through and color sort. I sped up the video so you didn't have to sit here and watch me try and figure out all of the different pieces and what I want to paint them. And I'm doing a voiceover today because I recorded this in my kitchen and my husband was watching TV. So we're going to paint the circle, the 3-inch circle that goes into the barn door, the background black. This is lamp black from Deco Art paint. And then we're going to paint the exterior layer, so the top layer of the candle lanterns, black. I like to use makeup sponges when I apply my paint, but you can use paintbrushes, rollers, whatever your heart desires. Now I'm going to use burlap. So this is a color match that I got at Home Depot of Deco Art's burlap. And I apologize for not being in the video. I try to be mindful of that. And I painted the fall tag with the burlap, and then I'm going to paint the pumpkin sign, the background, with burlap. When you go over the circle tag that says fall, make sure you use a very light pressure and a very little bit of paint so it doesn't seep down into the engraved letters. And when you're going over the engraved letters on the pumpkin sign, you also want to use very light pressure, very little paint on your sponge, and you can always add more paint. You can't really take paint away unless you sand it, but it just causes bigger issues. Okay, we'll let that dry. All right, I'm going to use Williamsburg Blue from Deco Art. And we are going to paint one of the pumpkins that color. And then I'm using Warm Sunset. So I'm painting the bottom pumpkin on the trio sign, and then I'm also painting the pumpkin for the 3-inch interchangeable sign that goes on the barn door. And then I'm gonna go over the fire portion of the candle with marigold. And I'm going to use light buttermilk. And we are going to paint the top pumpkin on the trio. So there's a stack of 3 different pumpkins, bigger to smaller. And so it's going to be orange, blue, white. Or from the top, it'll be white, blue, orange. And then I'm painting this. I painted the stem of the white one and the orange one with milk chocolate. Here I am going over the flame of the candle with marigold. Running out of room here, and now I'm going to paint the candlestick white. You don't need to worry about going on the sides because the top layer of the candles that we painted black will cover the sides. Add another layer of light buttermilk to the pumpkin. Alright, now I'm going to use deep burgundy from Deco, and we're going to do the letters, the pumpkin letters, and the two hearts with deep burgundy. Alright, so for the leaves, I'm going to do an ombre effect. I'm going to use Marigold and Warm Sunset. I'll show you here. So I just put Marigold. Actually, I used Deep Burgundy. So I put on the sponge, and I've showed you guys how I do this on several other videos. One side will be the marigold and the other side will be the deep burgundy, and then I use my surface and just work the paint until it's blended, and then I'll keep the lighter color in the center and go around the object. You just go until you like it. And I did not show you what it looked like. Hopefully I show you what the next one looks like. I apologize. You'll see it at the end. And when you go in for more paint, just make sure to line up your colors so you don't mix it. Believe me, I've done it. Adding another layer of Warm Sunset. And here I am adding, so I grabbed a little bit of Warm Sunset on my sponge that I used to add the marigold to the flame. And I'm just going over the one side, giving it, it's like floating orange. Give it a two-tone. And then we'll add another layer of deep burgundy. All right. So I'm going to add another layer of light buttermilk to the candlestick. And I started floating some deep burgundy around the orange pumpkin. I forgot to hit record, so you missed a little bit of it. So I'm just using my angle brush. This is one that I picked up at Michael's. It's a 3/8, I believe, angle brush. And I just get the brush wet, dab it off on my baby wipe until the water evaporates. You can kind of see it absorbing. And then I dip the tip of the angle brush into the paint and then go around the outside of the object I'm painting. And I apologize, I am not in the camera view. I am still learning, and I promise I will get better. But I get to focusing when I'm floating, and I like to be right in front of it. And so I always seem to move it closer to my face. But just putting the pieces together, taking a look at it, see if there's anything that I want to change. I added just a little bit of deep burgundy to the bottom side of the flame to give it a little more depth. All right. So this is my color match of deep midnight blue from décor. And I'm going to use that to float over the blue pumpkin. And I didn't want to worry about putting any on my paint palette, so I'm just pulling it out of the cap. And again, sorry, I am not in the camera view. Just a little bit, but same concept. Dipping my paintbrush in water, dabbing off the excess water. If you have too much water, it doesn't float great. If you don't have enough water, it don't float great. So it's definitely something that you have to practice to get a feel for. You could always try the ombre effect if you don't like to float color like this. Just make sure that when you are doing the ombre effect, it always works better when your paint's just a little damp and not 100% dry. And I have other videos on YouTube here that goes over that process, so make sure to check it out. And if you've made it this far, my name is Lisa. I am with Forever Bloom. I cut these DIY wood kits out on my own laser at my house, and I sell them on Whatnot. And if you haven't heard of Whatnot, it is similar to eBay, but different. It's a live auction platform, so I will go live, and you get to bid on these DIY kits, and the highest bid wins. And they get shipped out to you, and you get to paint these and put them together yourself. It's a lot of fun. Make sure to check out the show notes here. Find me on Facebook. There's also a link to Whatnot. If you're new to Whatnot, there is a buyer's referral link that'll give you $25 credit. I don't know how long that promotion's gonna last. Prior to this, it was 15, I believe. So who doesn't like free money? So go check that out. Again, that's for new buyers. If you're already an established Whatnot buyer, it won't, the referral link, you don't get the credit. But find me, bookmark my shows, join my next live show, and get yourself some kits. They're fun to paint. I use 1/8 inch MDF, and I really, really enjoy doing this hobby, these craft projects. I love painting. I love working with wood. I love sharing my passion for crafts and painting. And I love teaching. Just need to work on recording my videos because, again, I'm not in the camera view. And you can sit there and laugh. Just, in YouTube, you can hit that speed. You can fast forward this so it's super fast. And get through this video. Once I start assembling, I'll be in the camera view. But I like to focus when I'm doing shading or floating color. But check out that blue pumpkin. That deep, it's not deep, it's midnight blue. Really looks good on Williamsburg blue. Alright, and then I used, I want to say that I used burlap to shade around the white pumpkin. I recorded this video a few weeks ago, and I apologize. I should have done a voiceover as soon as it was done, but I haven't had a chance to get to it. So bear with me. Okay, so I went ahead and used my hand sander and sanded the back of this round just to give it a little bit of a distressing look. And now I'm gonna add the pumpkin. I am using art glitter glue. Cute. Set that to the side and let it dry. Alright, now I'm going to put together my my 3 stacked pumpkins. I'm going to start with the bottom pumpkin. And I decided that I wanted to paint the tab. So I just added some quick little layer of glue. You won't see it once it's in the interchangeable stand. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the first layer of the blue pumpkin. I just want to make sure that everything is lined up and even before I start adding the middle. Art glitter glue gives you just a few seconds to move your pieces around. And I was just making sure everything was lined up. Just follow the engraved lines. Okay, that's put together. Super cute. And I forgot to paint this little leaf, so I'm just adding it to my painter's tape, and I'm going to go in with the ombre effect again with deep burgundy and marigold. And got a little bit of paint on my flame, and I like to keep baby wipes handy so I can quickly clean that off. Okay, I think that looks good. Start adding my letters to the pumpkin sign. And just line up the letters with the engraved lines. Alright, y'all, I cut out a whole bunch of this little video. You couldn't see what I was doing, so now I'm adding the flame to the candles. I'm doing the other side. And then I'm going to add the top layer. Cleaning up some glue seepage. And I'm repeating the process on the other lantern. And cleaning up any excess glue. Alright, so I cut some more video because you couldn't see what I was doing, but on that little 3-inch round, I went ahead and used some raffia and tied a bow and added the fall tag. And I used hot glue to attach the raffia bow to the tag. Okay, now I'm going to take the little leaf that goes on top of the stacked pumpkins and add a raffia bow. And gluing down the leaf. I think that looks cute. And then I am going to add the leaves to the top of the lanterns, the candle lanterns, and tie those on with a raffia bow as well. So I'm going to glue down the leaf using my art glitter glue. And then I'm going to take this raffia and wrap it around the top of the lantern and just tie it like I'm tying a shoelace. I think that looks good. And repeat the process on the other candle lantern. I'm just going to make sure to put the leaf on the opposite side of the lantern. And then we'll just trim the edges or the tails of the raffia so it looks good. All right, I went ahead and cleaned up my workspace a little bit, but here is the final project. Cute little porch barn door interchangeable insert for fall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I was out of the picture for a hot second, but have a wonderful day.